To determine the temperature of a phone underneath a person's body after they have been dead for 6 hours in an outdoor environment of 25 degrees Fahrenheit, with snow falling, we need to consider several factors: the initial body heat, the cooling process after death, the insulation provided by clothing, jeans, and a hoodie, and the influence of the snowy environment. Let's break this down step by step. Initial conditions. Outside temperature, 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is below freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, indicating a cold environment where snow can persist. Phone location. The phone is underneath me, jeans and hoodie, interpreted as between the body and the ground, in contact with the clothing rather than directly against the skin or in a pocket, unless specified otherwise. Body state. The person has been dead for 6 hours, so their body is no longer generating heat. Initially, the body temperature was approximately 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, normal human body temperature. Clothing. Jeans and a hoodie provide some insulation, affecting heat loss. Snow. It's snowing, suggesting snow may accumulate around or under the body, potentially influencing the temperature near the phone. Body cooling process. Since the person is deceased, their body temperature decreases over time toward the ambient temperature of 25 degrees Fahrenheit. The rate of cooling depends on factors like clothing insulation, body mass, and environmental conditions. In forensic science, a common approximation for body cooling in moderate conditions, for example, around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, is a loss of about 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour. However, in colder environments like 25 degrees Fahrenheit, the cooling rate may be faster due to the larger temperature difference. To estimate the body's core temperature, we can use Newton's law of cooling, which states TT equals tambient plus tinitial minus tambient E minus KTTT equals T underscore backslash text ambient plus T underscore backslash text initial T underscore backslash text ambient backslash C dot E caret KTTT equals T underscore backslash text ambient plus T underscore backslash text initial T underscore backslash text ambient backslash C dot E caret KT where TT is the temperature at time, T. Tambient equals 25 FT underscore backslash text ambient equals 25 caret backslash text FT underscore backslash text ambient equals 25 caret backslash text F F. Tinitial equals 98.6 FT underscore backslash text initial equals 98.6 caret backslash text FT underscore backslash text initial equals 98.6 caret backslash thirk backslash text F T equals 6T equals 6T equals 6 hours. K is the cooling constant in units of per hour. The cooling constant, K, varies based on insulation and conditions. For a clothed body, jeans and hoodie provide moderate insulation. A typical K might range from 0.025 to 0.075 per hour. Let's use K equals 0.05, K equals 0.05, K equals 0.05 per hour as a reasonable estimate for a lightly clothed body in air. T6 equals 25 plus 98.6 minus 25 E minus 0.056 T6 equals 25 plus 98.6 to 25 backslash C dot E caret minus 0.05 backslash C dot 6 T6 equals 25 plus 98.6 to 25 98.6 to 25 backslash C dot E caret minus 0.05 backslash C dot 6 T6 equals 25 plus 73.6 E minus 0.3 T 6 equals 25 plus 73.6 backslash C dot E caret minus 0.3 T6 equals 25 plus 73.6 backslash Z.3 E minus 0.3 E minus 0.3 E minus 0.3 E minus 0.3 backslash approx 0.7408 E caret minus 0.3 backslash approx 0.7408. T6 equals 25 plus 73.60.7408 25 plus 54.579.5 FT6 equals 25 plus 73.6 /C.0.7408 /approx 25 plus 54.5 /approx 79.5 /circ text ft6 equals 25 plus 73.6 /C.0.7408 approx 25 plus 54.5 approx 79.5 circ text f. After 6 hours, the core body temperature is approximately 79.5 degrees Fahrenheit. This seems high for such a cold environment, suggesting that clothing insulation slows cooling, but we'll refine this for the phone's context. Skin and clothing temperature. The phone is underneath the body, likely in contact with the clothing, jeans or hoodie, rather than the skin directly, and pressed against the ground or snow. The body's core temperature, for example, 79.5 degrees Fahrenheit, is higher than the skin temperature, as the skin cools faster without blood circulation. The clothing creates a temperature gradient. Inner side, near skin, closer to the skin temperature. Outer side, near ground/snow, closer to the ambient 25 degrees Fahrenheit or the snow's temperature. Skin temperature under clothing would be lower than the core. In living individuals, skin temperature is around 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, but for a dead body in cold conditions, it drops significantly. With insulation from jeans and a hoodie, the skin temperature might cool more slowly than if exposed. Let's estimate the skin temperature under clothing after 6 hours. If the core is around 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, the skin might be 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit lower, say 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, but in 25 degrees Fahrenheit ambient conditions, it could be closer to the outside temperature over time. A simpler approach is to consider the heat flow. The clothing acts as a thermal resistance between the body and the outside. For a rough approximation, the temperature of the clothing where the phone contacts it might be a weighted average between the core and ambient temperatures, adjusted for insulation and time. However, since the skin cools faster, let's assume the skin temperature under the clothing is around 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit after 6 hours, factoring in insulation. Influence of snow. Snow is falling, and the body is likely on a snow-covered surface. Snow's temperature is typically at or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, its melting point. Initially, the warm body, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, might melt snow underneath, creating a thin layer of water at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. As the body cools over 6 hours, this water could refreeze. But if any liquid persists due to insulation from the body, the temperature under the body might stabilize near 32 degrees Fahrenheit until freezing completes. Given the ambient air is 25 degrees Fahrenheit, the snow or ground beneath likely remains around 25 to 32 degrees Fahrenheit after 6 hours, depending on melting and heat loss. Phone temperature. The phone, a small object with low thermal mass, quickly adopts the temperature of its surroundings, positioned between the body, via clothing, and the ground/snow. Top side, contacts clothing at a temperature between the skin, for example, 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the core, for example, 79.5 degrees Fahrenheit, moderated by the clothing's outer layer nearing 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Bottom side, contacts snow or ground, likely 25 to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Given the body's insulation, the microenvironment under the body is warmer than 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If snow melted initially, the temperature beneath could be 32 degrees Fahrenheit while water remains. Over 6 hours, as the body cools, this area likely approaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit, especially with snow insulating and conducting cold from below. The clothing, pressed against the phone, transfers a temperature closer to the skin or snow, depending on thickness and heat loss. For a practical estimate, core temperature, 79.5 degrees Fahrenheit, slowed by clothing. Skin temperature under clothing, 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Snow/ground temperature, 25 to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The phone's temperature is likely close to the snow's melting point, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, if melting occurred, as this dominates the local environment after 6 hours of cooling in a snowy 25 degrees Fahrenheit setting. The body's residual heat keeps it slightly above 25 degrees Fahrenheit, but not as high as the core or even skin temperature. Final estimate. Considering all factors, body cooling, clothing insulation, and snow, the phone's temperature is best estimated around the snow's melting point, due to its proximity to the ground and the cooling duration. Thus, the phone's temperature is approximately 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Answer: the temperature of the phone would be approximately 32 degrees Fahrenheit.